I was standing in the store, holding a $500 item that I'd wanted for months. On the outside, I looked like I had it all figured out. But as I walked to the register, a single thought hit me that changed everything. I wasn't buying this because I could afford it. I was buying it to hide the fact that I was actually broke. Today, I'm showing you the purchase that forced me to stop lying to myself, and the math that proved I was closer to zero than I realized. So let's go back to that store for a second, because the moment itself wasn't dramatic. Nobody was watching me. There was no crisis. I had a decent job, a paycheck that had actually gone up twice in 2 years, and a credit card that would clear the purchase without blinking. By every normal measure, I was fine. And that's exactly the problem I want to talk about today, because fine is doing a lot of heavy lifting in a lot of people's financial lives right now. My name is Ely, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people in the U.S. experience money psychologically. If you're someone who earns a normal income, maybe even more than you used to, but still doesn't feel financially secure, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. This channel isn't about getting rich or picking stocks. It's about the quieter stuff, the stuff nobody puts on a chart. Here's the thing. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of household economics and decision-making, a huge share of American adults say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense with cash on hand. Not because they're unemployed, not because they're irresponsible. Many of them have full-time jobs and steady paychecks. That number used to shock me. Now it doesn't, because I lived a version of it while holding a receipt for something that cost more than that emergency threshold. Now look, the item itself doesn't matter. It could have been a jacket, a gadget, a weekend trip, doesn't matter. What matters is the moment right before the purchase, when a part of my brain quietly asked, "Can I actually afford this?" And a louder, faster part of my brain answered before the question even finished forming. That faster part said, "You deserve this. You've been working so hard. Just this once." That's not a math problem. That's a psychology problem, and it's the one most personal finance content completely ignores. Here's what most people don't realize. The number on your paycheck and the number your nervous system believes are two completely different things. You can earn $75,000 a year and still feel like you're one bad month away from disaster, because your brain isn't calculating your net worth, it's calculating your sense of safety. And safety, according to research out of the American Psychological Association's annual Stress in America survey, has been tied to money more consistently than almost any other single factor for years running. Money isn't just math to the brain. It's a stand-in for security, for identity, for whether you're keeping up or falling behind. Let's put real numbers on this, because vague feelings don't convince anyone, but arithmetic does. Say someone earns $50,000 a year. Take-home pay after taxes lands somewhere around $3,600 a month, give or take, depending on the state. Rent alone in a lot of American cities now eats up $1,300 to $1,600 of that. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has tracked shelter costs rising faster than wages in many metro areas over the last several years, which means the rent-to-income ratio that used to be considered reasonable, 30%, has quietly crept toward 40 or even 50% for a lot of renters. Add a car payment of $400, because most people don't have a choice about needing a car in this country. Add groceries, insurance, a phone bill, a streaming subscription nobody remembers signing up for. By the time all of that clears, there's maybe $200 or $300 of breathing room. $200 or $300. That's the gap between feeling stable and feeling like you're one flat tire away from panic. Now here's where it gets interesting, because you'd think a raise would fix this. Someone goes from $50,000 to $65,000. That's a real, meaningful jump. And yet, so many people report feeling almost the same amount of stress, sometimes more. Why would that happen? This is where the psychology takes over from the math. There's a concept researchers call the hedonic treadmill, and it's basically the reason more money often buys less relief than we expect. The idea is simple. Your baseline expectations rise right alongside your income. The car that used to feel like an upgrade now feels basic. The apartment that once felt exciting now feels like something to escape. The raise gets absorbed almost instantly by a slightly nicer apartment, a slightly newer car, slightly more frequent takeout, because those upgrades feel proportional, they feel earned, they feel like simply keeping pace. Nobody sits down and decides to inflate their lifestyle. It happens gradually, purchase by purchase, each one perfectly justifiable on its own. Now you might be thinking, okay, but isn't it fine to enjoy your money? Isn't that the whole point of earning more? And yes, absolutely, enjoying your income is not the enemy here. The problem isn't spending. The problem is spending that's driven by anxiety disguised as reward. There's a difference between buying something because it genuinely adds value to your life and buying something because you need proof to yourself or to other people that you're doing okay. That $500 item I bought wasn't really about the item. It was about needing evidence. Evidence that I'd made it, that I wasn't behind, that I could keep up with whatever invisible standard I'd absorbed from friends, coworkers, social media, all of it blending into one vague, exhausting benchmark called normal. And comparison is doing more damage here than people give it credit for. Researchers who study financial behavior have repeatedly found that people judge their financial situation less by their actual numbers and more by comparing themselves to peers, neighbors, and online personas. Picture two people, both earning $80,000 a year. One of them has a friend group where that income feels comfortable and even generous. The other has a friend group posting vacations, renovations, and new cars every few months. Same salary, same expenses, wildly different levels of stress. The number in the bank account didn't change. The comparison did. That's the whole trick. Financial stress is often relative, not absolute, and relative stress is nearly impossible to out-earn because there's always another comparison waiting on the other side of the next race. Think of it like a treadmill set at an incline. You can walk faster, you can even start jogging, but if the incline keeps rising with you, you never actually arrive anywhere. That's what lifestyle creep does. It raises the incline right alongside your pace, so the feeling of almost there never quite resolves into I've arrived. So where does this leave someone who's earning a decent, maybe even increasing income, but still lying awake doing math in their head? Here's the shift that changed things for me. And it's less about restriction and more about redefining what a purchase is actually for. Start by separating identity spending from value spending. Before a non-essential purchase, ask one honest question. Am I buying this because it adds real, lasting value to my life, or because I need it to feel like I'm keeping up with something? That's not a guilt question, it's a clarity question. Some purchases will pass that test easily. A good pair of work shoes, a reliable appliance, something that genuinely improves daily life. Others won't, and that's useful information, not a moral failure. Next, build what I like to call a friction buffer instead of a strict budget. Because most people abandon budgets within a few months, but almost everyone can tolerate a small delay. For any purchase over roughly $100 that isn't a bill or a necessity, wait 24 hours before buying it. Not forever, just one day. That single day interrupts the emotional reflex long enough for the calmer part of your brain to catch up to the faster part. A surprising number of must-have purchases quietly lose their urgency by the next morning. Then there's the gap number, and this one matters more than almost anything else. Take your monthly take-home income and subtract every fixed expense, rent, car payment, insurance, minimum debt payments, groceries at a realistic estimate. Whatever's left is your real number, the actual room you have to breathe. For a lot of people earning what sounds like a solid salary, that number is smaller than they expect, sometimes uncomfortably small. But knowing it, actually seeing it in writing, removes the vague dread and replaces it with a specific, workable target. Vague anxiety is paralyzing. A specific number is something you can actually plan around. Finally, build a small stability cushion before chasing any bigger financial goal, even a modest one. $300 or $400 set aside specifically for the unexpected. Not for investing, not for growth, just for absorbing shocks. According to that same Federal Reserve survey I mentioned earlier, having even a small emergency cushion is strongly associated with lower reported financial stress, even among people whose overall income hasn't changed at all. That tells you something important. Stress isn't only about how much you earn. It's about how prepared you feel for the unpredictable stuff life keeps throwing at everyone. Looking back at that store, at that $500 item, I don't regret buying it, honestly. What I regret is not understanding why I was buying it. I thought I was rewarding myself. I was actually reassuring myself, trying to quiet a low hum of financial anxiety with a purchase instead of an honest look at my numbers. Once I ran the actual math, once I saw my real gap number in black and white, The anxiety didn't disappear overnight, but it became something I could work with instead of something vague and looming in the background of every decision. That's really the shift I want to leave you with today. Financial peace doesn't come from a bigger number on a paycheck alone, and it doesn't come from cutting out every small joy either. It comes from understanding the gap between what you earn and what you actually keep, from noticing when a purchase is filling an emotional hole instead of adding real value, and from building just enough of a cushion that one unexpected bill doesn't send your whole week into a quiet panic. You don't need to overhaul your entire life this week. You just need to know your real number and start making decisions from clarity instead of from that quiet, familiar hum of financial fear. That's the actual work, and it's a lot more achievable than people think.